Right, so today I'm going to be making stuffed aubergine. Unusually for me, I actually have all the ingredients out in advance. I'll see if this method actually makes cooking easier for me or not. I'm a big fan of aubergine, and in fact one of my favourite dishes I've ever eaten is one called Imam Bialdi, which a Greek friend of mine told me about, and insist I try, and it is delicious. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my aubergines, cut them in half, and then scoop out the middle. I've washed my hands thoroughly, and now I shall cut. And once more we have the cat trying to assist, and she wants me to sit down so I can give her a good stroke. Go on, Willow, you're getting in the way of the filming, and really you shouldn't be where the food's being prepared. Yeah, I know, I'll give you a fuss in a minute. Right. Slice the aubergines in half. Oh, I've got to kind of just cut along the aubergine to make it easier to scoop out the middle. There we have one scooped out. I shall now repeat the process with the other three. My capable assistant has just informed me that I need to get a move on because I should not have done the aubergine first because it will go brown. So I need to cut up the pepper, the onions, the garlic, fry them all up, add the aubergine, and then do the mushrooms, and then should be good to go. Right, so I'll get chopping. Bit of a bruise on the pepper that I've cut out. Get rid of that bit. Now to do probably 1.5 onions, I reckon, because these aren't the biggest, but they're not tiny. I shall keep the onion extra bits for the chickens, because chickens are big fans of onion. Right, don't pause that. Now chop the onions and the pepper, so I'm going to brown the onions in the pan, and then I'm going to add the pepper to it. You can stop that. For the onions to brown a bit, I will start to do the garlic, which I'm not very good at peeling. I know you're supposed to cut the ends off and then it's easier in theory. The onions are browning away nicely, and I've got time to chop up the mushrooms, I think. According to the recipe, I think I need 100 grams, which is probably about all of these. In a minute as well, I'm going to put the aubergine halves that are in the saucepan onto boil to make them a bit softer, so they'll be ready to be stuffed. In with the peppers. And then on with the aubergines. A couple more minutes, I think, and then I'll need to add. I'm going to add the aubergines to all this. And then cook that for a bit, and then add the garlic and the mushrooms. Right, I'm seasoning with salt and pepper, and then adding the mushrooms and the garlic. Garlic, I will just give a bit of a swidging to in just a second. With the garlic squidger. So I'm waiting for all that to boil down. I'm going to shred the coriander. Against my judgment, we're actually seeming to be using a whole pack of coriander, but that could be because the cinematographer seems to rather like the flavour of coriander, so I've been assured that we need it all. I'm just going to shred this slightly. Much shredding with a larger knife later. I'm now going to add half the coriander to the aubergine, peppers and mushroom, and the other half is going to go in the sauce. The aubergine halves are boiling away nicely, so a couple more minutes for them and then everything will be good to go. I think I shall add the paprika as well, when I think about it. Paprika is one of my favourite spices. A good teaspoon of paprika. Right, John, stop there. All that is done, I've taken it off the heat and I shall grate some pecorino to add to it. Right, the aubergines are now soft enough, so I need to remove them, which isn't easy because they're rather hot. And place them. Ooh. The cinematographer experienced a slight problem now, but there's some still photos. So here are the 4 halves of the aubergine empty, and here are the aubergines after they've been stuffed with the mixture. And aubergines are now stuffed. Pecorino is now grated, so I'm going to cover each aubergine with a generous sprinkling of cheese. And then we need to make a tomato sauce, which will kind of go around the outside of the aubergines to cook the aubergines in, which they'll be cooked in the oven. So once I've cheesed, next stage is breadcrumbs. Then job's a good one. Right, breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs are just to add a bit of a crunch to it. So I'm just going to give it a little sprinkling, sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. So whilst the aubergines were baking in the oven, made a sauce to go with the aubergines. So I fried up some onions, added some paprika and some basil and some chopped plum tomatoes, and then reduced that slightly, and then cooked some roast potatoes. And here we have the finished aubergines, and as you can see in the background, the small roast potatoes that we did to go with them. And I have to say, they turned out rather well, if I say so myself, and were very tasty. Look forward to seeing the pictures of anything new you have tried to make. It doesn't have to be cooking. It could be anything new that you've attempted, whatever. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you have never tried stuffed aubergines before, I would highly recommend them.